Thank you. I would like to first give a shout out to my two children who just finished their first day of school. I see them back there. Second grade and fourth grade. Got to get that right. Welcome parents, administrators and staff, my faculty colleagues, and especially the Gettysburg class of 2016. And thank you, Provost Zappe, for the invitation to speak this afternoon. Dean Sweezy's description of your class is impressive. You represent an elite class of adults, athletes, seekers of social justice, artists. You will be at least as sharp as your predecessors. I'm thinking particularly about the classes of 2013 and 2014, our current juniors and seniors. One of the rising juniors is a Goldwater Scholar, and I see him right there. 5 of them kayaked across the Baltic Sea this summer through one of our campus programs. One senior received a Mellon Award to study in Stockholm. One of my students is on his way to Cairo. Another presented research in Alaska. I know many of these current juniors and seniors. They are students who, like you, have impressive credentials from high school. Based on their records, I might predict a similar future for your class, the class of 2016. But there is a dark side. If your class is truly similar to the junior and senior classes, then one of you might drink too much and fall down a flight of stairs, requiring multiple dental surgeries and false teeth. One of you could, during the week of finals this fall, become so overwhelmed with your lack of planning that you will plagiarize an entire essay a colleague of mine published only 6 months before. Yeah, the faculty get that one. One of you might witness a fellow student degrading someone based on their race, religion, sexual orientation, and you will do nothing. You will say nothing. Just stand there in shock. And for this, you will always be ashamed. At least 2 of you will take a medical leave due to mental illness. At least 3 of you will discover that you have an undiagnosed learning disability and will have to learn new strategies while enrolled as a college student. That is not an easy task. If you look at the faces of my faculty colleagues, you will see that they are not surprised by my words. These predictions are not new to them, especially when I predict that a few of you here in the class of 2016, with your beautiful faces and your nice glasses, will simply not make it. Perhaps your academic performance will be so poor that you will be asked to leave Gettysburg College for a semester or perhaps even forever. You may want to transfer to another school because you expected to find happiness here and did not by the end of the month or the end of the semester or even the end of the academic year. One of the members of the class of 2013, let us call her Amanda, although that is not her real name, is a talented young woman with enormous potential. As a first-year student, she was well prepared academically, but not emotionally. Her first year of college was very hard for her. She is shy for one, and it took her an extremely long time to make connections with the folks on her hall. She even had her roommate tell her, "We don't have to be friends, we can just be roommates." This surprised Amanda. She saw her roommate as a close friend, but since she didn't open up to her roommate as much as her roommate expected her to do, her roommate assumed Amanda just didn't like her. By December of Amanda's sophomore year, she wanted to leave Gettysburg College. I spoke with her recently about this time in her life, and we agreed on one point. The problem with leaving a place is that you and your problems go with you. As a sophomore, Amanda decided to be gentle with herself. She decided to give it some time. She identified a team of people, of which I am a part, to help her when she needed it. Today, you would never know this senior had any problems in her first 3 semesters. I told her I was going to have the opportunity to speak with you today, and she told me to tell you that your room, your dorm room, is the only place that is really yours, and yet you have to share it with a stranger. College is stressful enough without that sacred place being an uncomfortable place. Be honest with your roommate. create a comfortable living space for yourself. Another student, this one from the class of 2014, also had a hard time in his first year. I will call him Bennett, again, not his real name. Gettysburg College was not Bennett's first choice, but his second. And Bennett resented Gettysburg College for that unfortunate fact. Plus, Bennett's girlfriend was still attending his high school back home. He chose to stay connected to his high school set of friends and was not all that interested in starting fresh here. He told me all of these things when he came to see me during the winter of his first year, asking me to recommend him as a transfer student to that old first choice, a larger school much closer to his high school friends, his girlfriends, and his parents. I agreed to recommend him. He is an exceptional student, but I also challenged him to be a part of this place, even if it was only for the spring semester of his first year. A month later, he broke up with his girlfriend. A month after that, he chose to stay at Gettysburg College. It took Bennett almost a year to commit to Gettysburg College, something that he probably regrets. He now has a cohort of friends, fellow artists and scientists that take his learning and growth beyond the classroom. Those folks are a part of Bennett's team, and I am a part of Bennett's team. And there is one more student I want to introduce you to. Let's call him Claude. Claude was a B-plus student in high school, sharp enough to make those B-pluses without really having to manage his time or challenge himself. In my first year seminar, he was well-spoken and well-prepared. But during that first autumn here, he failed a midterm exam in another course. And I have to hand it to Claude, he did everything right. He owned that failure. Claude went over the exam with his professor, then he came and spoke with me. I was also his advisor, and then he developed a plan. He seemed to be doing well until the week of final exams, when he just fell apart. We talked multiple times that week. He had not been honest with himself. He was not working his plan, and now his last-minute cramming and paper writing just weren't going to cut it at Gettysburg College. He failed that semester. Many faculty were devastated at what happened to Claude. Some of us pleaded his case, telling the administration that he had B's in 2 classes before he just imploded during final exams. Claude was permitted to stay at Gettysburg College another semester. He was careful, he was ready to work, he was terrified of repeating his same mistakes. I asked Claude to identify who was on his team. By that, I always mean, who does he have him help reach his academic goals? He named me, he named his faculty in his spring courses, and he named his parents. I asked him about other students. Here at Gettysburg College, you will discover that the overwhelming majority of you will need fellow students on your team. Some of these students you will teach, some of these students will teach you, and everyone will benefit. These other students will hold you accountable and give you support. Every student I have ever had who failed here made the same mistake that Claude was in the midst of making. Claude said he wasn't the type that needed students on his team. The reality of the situation was that Claude didn't want any of his friends and fellow students to know that he was struggling. He, like every other student I have ever had who has been asked to leave Gettysburg College, walked around campus as if nothing was wrong, while inside he was a white-hot mess. Claude's story does not have the same fairy tale ending as Bennett's and Amanda's do. As you might expect, Claude hit some rough spots and thought he could go it alone. Always positive, always confident things would work out. He failed again, and he is no longer a student at Gettysburg College. I want the class of 2016 to have no stories like Claude's. How do we get there? Some of you will need to be brutally honest with yourselves about what you know and what you don't know. All of you will fail at something, and how you handle that failure, how you share that failure is extremely important. You must expose it, understand it, and use it. Look at my faculty colleagues in their fine robes. Every faculty member sitting here today uses failure as an opportunity to get it right the next time. And that is why our robes, 4 years from now, are still going to be fancier than yours. If any of us slunk around hiding our rejected manuscripts, our confusing data, our writer's blocks from each other, we would never get anywhere. We have teams, and you need one too.